You know, for decades, there's been this one simple go-to strategy for building wealth. But what if the rise of AI is actually making that trusted old playbook, well, dangerously outdated? Today, we're going to dive into how artificial intelligence is forcing a massive rethink of one of the most popular, time-tested ways to invest. This really got my attention. It comes from an investor who spent 35 years building his wealth with a pretty straightforward S&P 500 index fund. I mean, this is a strategy that literally made him millions. But now he's saying the game is changing, and it's time to adapt or get left behind. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to uncover a hidden risk lurking in the world's most popular investment fund. Then, we'll talk about why thinking globally is absolutely crucial right now. After that, we'll hunt for the real opportunities in AI, the underdogs. Then, we'll build a defense with gold and cash. And finally, we'll put it all together into what a new balanced portfolio could look like. Okay, first up, the hidden risk in the S&P 500. Now, you probably think of an S&P 500 index fund as the definition of a safe, diversified investment, right? I mean, it's spread across 500 of America's biggest companies. But let's pop the hood and see what's really going on inside. This right here is the heart of the problem, and it's pretty shocking. For every single dollar you put into an S&P 500 fund, 40 cents of it, almost half, goes into just 10 companies. We're talking about the usual suspects: NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon. So much for diversification, huh? And this chart just lays it out perfectly. A tiny group of companies make up this massive slice of the pie, while the other 490 companies are all crowded into what's left. Now, this isn't some weird glitch. This is literally how the fund is designed to work. It's because of a system called market cap weighting. And all that means is the bigger a company gets, the more of your investment money automatically flows into it. And what's making a few companies unbelievably big right now? You guessed it, AI. And this kicks off this incredibly powerful feedback loop. You see, the biggest companies are borrowing tons of money to bet the farm on AI. Their stock prices are skyrocketing based on the hype of future AI profits, not what they're actually earning today. And as their stock prices go up, all those passive index funds have no choice but to buy more, which pushes the prices even higher. And that just makes the whole index even more concentrated and, frankly, more risky for everybody. So, if the US market is getting so top-heavy and concentrated, what's the first move? Well, it's to start thinking globally, not just locally. Putting all your eggs in one country's basket is a seriously risky bet for the long haul. Now, what's so fascinating about this is that history tells a very clear story. No one country stays on top forever. Back in 1900, the UK was the center of the financial universe. By the late 80s, everybody thought Japan was just unstoppable. And for the last decade plus, it's been all about the USA. But history shows us over and over that leadership always changes. And that's the key takeaway here. If you're only investing in the S&P 500, you're missing out on some huge global companies and fast-growing economies that could easily be the leaders of tomorrow. A global fund, on the other hand, just automatically adjusts to these power shifts over time. Okay, so we're starting to think more globally. Now let's get a little more strategic about how we invest in AI itself. Instead of just chasing the same handful of giants, what if the real key is to bet on the underdogs? Here's a cool way to map out the market. You can break it down into 4 zones. The big AI players, your NVIDIAs and Teslas, are way over here in the crowded zone. Super expensive, and everyone's already piled in. But the real opportunity, the hidden gems, could be hiding out in the overlooked zone. Smaller companies that have good value, but just aren't on everyone's radar yet. Think about it like this. The giant tech companies are spending billions and billions to build the absolute best, most premium AI model. It's like premium fuel that costs $3 a liter. But what if a cheaper, good enough model comes along that does the job for 99% of people, like standard fuel for half the price? History shows that when a new technology becomes common, the real money isn't made by the builders, but by the companies that use it in the smartest, most efficient way. Those are the underdogs. So here's the thing. Every big technological revolution brings amazing opportunities for sure, but it also brings a ton of instability. And that is why the next piece of this strategy is all about building a solid defense. And we're talking about 2 old-school assets, gold and cash. And it's not just individuals thinking this way. I mean, look at this. You've got central banks, like China's, buying up gold like there's no tomorrow. And you've got giant institutions like Bank of America telling their clients to allocate more to hard assets like gold. They see it as a safe harbor, a stable store of value when things get choppy. And then there's cash. Just look at the master himself, Warren Buffett. He is sitting on a mountain of cash right now. And why is that? It's because he doesn't see a lot of great deals at today's high prices. So he's waiting, patiently. And that's the secret power of cash. It's not just defense. Yes, it protects you when the market falls, but it also gives you offense. It gives you the firepower to swoop in and buy fantastic companies when they're on a massive discount. When everyone else is panicking and selling, having cash means you see opportunity. Okay, so let's pull all these pieces together. What does this actually look like? The whole point here isn't to perfectly predict the future, because nobody can. The goal is to build a portfolio that's prepared for lots of different outcomes, whether the AI boom continues to roar or if the bubble finally pops. So this is what that prepared portfolio might look like. You're not ditching the S&P 500. You keep the majority there to capture that growth if the US market keeps climbing, but you're balancing that big bet. You're diversifying with global stocks. You're adding those smaller underdog companies. You've got gold for stability, and you've got a nice pile of cash for both safety and opportunity. Look, this isn't about throwing out a strategy that has worked for so many people for so long. It's about adapting it for a new world. The rise of AI is creating absolutely massive opportunities, but it's also creating risk and concentration that we haven't seen before. So the real question you have to ask yourself is your portfolio prepared for both?